Donald Trump Jr. is the executive vice president of the Trump Organization, executive director of the Trump Organization, and President Trump's oldest son. Don, good to have you here. Thanks for joining me.
Good to be back, John. How you doing?
Doing well. So you've been very vocal about this. It happened to you on Instagram. You were censored recently. Raheem Kassam, a prominent conservative journalist, he was censored today or yesterday on Facebook. They shut his account down. You jumped into the fray. Facebook said, it's an accident. We didn't mean to do it. But this is an epidemic, Don. This is happening to all of us. I've had my Twitter account suspended twice for innocuous postings.
Well, it's always an accident. I mean, this really started with me. I put up sort of my first attack post about it this summer because I noticed I had something like 20 million impressions that week on Instagram. And I looked at my following, and I got 0 new followers. I mean, it's just a statistical impossibility, right? So I put it up there. I showed it. Oh yeah, no, there must be an error. And the next week I was back up to 15,000 a week or whatever it may be. Then over in the coming months, it sort of highlighted it. People started pointing it out to me. One of my best friends says, Don, it's weird. I'm following you, but your stuff never shows up in my feed anymore. This is someone I've known for 20 years. They don't follow thousands of people. They're not doing spamming type behavior. And, I started noticing it. Then finally, the last straw was sort of, 2 weeks ago, I put up a thing about the Smollett case where I was like, I was one of the early people to be like, hey, something sounds a little bit weird. Yeah. So I put up an Instagram post. It was just a screenshot of my tweet that said, yeah, what are the odds that two people, in, downtown Chicago, a known MAGA stronghold, were there randomly waiting on the coldest night of the year at 2 a.m. with a bottle of bleach and a noose to try to attack a rich actor because they knew he'd be going at Subway, on that kind of night because that would be totally normal behavior instead of ordering seamless. It just seems sort of weird. So then, obviously, when that fell apart and hit, I put up this thing, and I get this thing from Instagram. Your tweet has been deleted for whatever reasons, and I'm like, wait a second, give me a break. So I put up a post about it, and calling them out, they find out, it was an accident. But I got inundated, man, and I mean dozens of people that are, everything from, Don, I've been locked out of my account just trying to like yours or like your father's account. Don, I've had to follow you 3 times in 1 week because I keep checking and it keeps unfollowing you. Consequently, if I normally get 10,000 new followers on Instagram a week, I'm at 35 because just me highlighting it made people go check. 35,000 new ones this week because people went to check and realized that they weren't following me when they thought they would. Yeah. Don, I've been following these liberal accounts that I never signed up for, I never did, and they're automatically just appearing in my feed. Not sponsored ones, but so they're getting unfollowed from conservative accounts. They're following liberal ones, and I'm just like, this is ridiculous. And it wasn't 1 or 2 guys. I get when it's 1 or 2. I mean, these are literally dozens of people. And so I wrote this op-ed for Real Clear Politics that basically said, if they're doing this to me, I have a soapbox. I have the ability to create some noise. I have the ability to call them out, even if they're stymieing me on their platforms. What about the regular guy?
That's right.
What about the guy that's a big Second Amendment guy, or a small business that's a 2A type of, a business, or even a conservative account? I mean, these guys have no way of fighting back. And Instagram's excuse, we'd love to talk to you. It seems like it was spamming behavior that caused it. Wait. So someone trying to like my tweet, how is that spamming? How is someone having to follow me 3 times or being locked out for trying to follow me? Or the best one yet is people literally searching my exact handle, Donald J. Trump Jr., in there. It's not even showing up as a top 10 account for some people. Now, I'm not saying that's happening to everyone, but it's happening enough that to me it feels like a systematic and regular occurrence that they're just prepping to stymie those voices to prevent that, whether it's a dry run for 2020, we all know their political beliefs. Then you see the other conservative accounts. And so, I feel like I have to highlight it because it's really disgusting. And it's a blatant attack, and you never hear about it the other way because, trust me, the leftists would bitch to no end if we were doing it to them. I mean, they'd be crying like little girls if we were doing it to a level that you wouldn't believe. But then you guys are conservatives, they can't handle it. It's like, hey, man, I'm not asking for an advantage. I'm not asking for it. I'm just asking to be on a level playing field, and we're not getting it. And that was obvious to me in the hundreds of DMs and people reaching out to me for all those different reasons.
Yeah, look, you're 100% right, though, Don. If this was going the other way, we'd all be banned. All of us in conservative media. If this was happening to Dems and we were encouraging it, the way Dems encouraging it happening to us or liberals, we would all be banned. But it goes a step further, right? It goes to violence, actual violence against Trump supporters, and hoax hate crimes to frame Trump supporters. Howie Carr, I'm going to have Howie on the show in just a little bit. I was talking to him and his producer this morning. They're broadcasting here at a Newsmax this week. They're in studio on the Cape in Massachusetts. Some woman assaults a guy in a MAGA hat. Well, she's now in the custody of ICE and will probably be deported. I've got a friend whose 12-year-old daughter wore a MAGA hat in school. The kid doesn't want to go public with it. I was going to do the story. The substitute teacher, Don, slapped the hat off the kid's head. We're hearing these stories every day, and then these backfiring hoaxes. I mean, it's open season on any of us that support Donald Trump. Open season on any conservative, it feels like.
100%. I mean, it's not even at this point. You've literally never heard anyone on the left complain about this thing. The behavior doesn't happen that way, and you see that whether it's sort of Facebook and the way they're working with some of these other groups. There was a bunch of stuff with them about various groups that they're working on these days, and it's just coming out. And it's just so important for me to feel like at least I have the platform to highlight it, because again, it's not just me complaining about me. That's one thing. I'm a big boy. I can handle it. But what about all those little accounts, those little guys that are paying for advertising, trying to grow their business, and they're like, man, ever since I started doing this, or since I started liking Trump posts,
right.
My following has actually dropped, despite the fact that I'm actually paying for advertising, despite that I'm doing it right, that I'd be doing everything else. You have PayPal CEO admitting to a partnership with the SPLC to blacklist conservatives. I mean, this is real. It is out there. And, a lot of these companies are getting a lot of things from the government. It's not like they're purely functioning as private entities.
That's right.
If that's the argument from the right, which, is usually many of our arguments for private entity. But that's not the case. They're being treated, differently because of this. They're getting a lot of tax advantages because of various things. And if they're blacklisting a 50% of the population, and or even just playing with the algorithms enough to slow their growth, to prevent them from being able to get it out, that's not right, and someone's got to step in.
Someone absolutely does. Well, like you say, you've got a great platform, and you're being incredibly, incredibly proactive on it. It is important, because that average American that just might want to talk about guns or property rights or is pro-life, they're being shut down, Don. I'm glad you're doing what you're doing. Donald Trump Jr., eldest son of the 45th president, executive vice president of the Trump Organization. Don, I know you're busy. Thanks so much for joining.
Thank you very much, Sean. I really appreciate it. You have a good one.
You too. Anytime.
You just watched Newsmax TV, America's fastest growing news channel, now in 65 million homes. Get Newsmax TV on all the major cable systems, or go to NewsmaxTV.com and click on the Find Newsmax tab to locate us. Remember, Newsmax TV, where real news for real people.